back to the broadcast. Well, over 20 years in the fashion industry, Diane Vallere decided to make a career change and become an author. She writes the Mad for Mod mystery series. Her latest book is That Touch of Ink, and she's here with us today. Okay. You were in the fashion industry for so long. You were a buyer for Neiman Marcus.
I was, yes.
And so what happened? You just had this little itch in the back of your brain that said you need to write?
I started having ideas while I was working at Neiman's. Actually, the very first book that I wrote on the planes for market trips. So when I would go to New York, I would just sit with my laptop and write a chapter or two. And so I have a whole series that's about fashion. So it kind of was born out of all of those experiences.
Sure. Did you find yourself looking at your clients and sometimes going, that's an interesting character?
It wasn't so much the people that inspired it, but the situations that inspired it. Just sometimes I would be just doing something that was part of the job, and all of a sudden I would go, wait, I could set a murder mystery here. You know, this is like perfect setup for something. So, and I just scribble notes down and then go back and revisit them later on.
So tell us about this series. Is it it's a murder mystery sort of series?
This is a murder mystery series. This is my Mad for Mod series, and this is a character who is a mid-century modern interior decorator. She's modeled her whole life after Doris Day. So she watches Doris Day movies to see how to decorate
all these books.
the
I'm
houses.
Obsessed with Doris Day.
And she lives in the Lakewood area. So it's set here. And it's very much a modern, independent businesswoman who has this throwback sensibility. She dresses in vintage and she decorates like it's the 50s and things like that. So there's this kind of interesting push-pull with the modern Texas woman, you know, who is also very ladylike.
A Southern belle, a little bit. And she's thrown into these situations where people are dying around her?
She is. The first book, which is Pillow Stock, is the first book. And in this one, the killer is actually targeting women who are dressed like Doris Day. There's different women are dressed that way for different reasons, Halloween party or a promo or audition. But since she looks that way, she's kind of in the line of maybe she's going to be a victim. So that's how she gets involved with the murder mystery. And then the second one, That Touch of Ink, really, she gets involved with a counterfeiting operation.
Oh,
so
my
that's
gosh.
The Touch of Ink.
So she's our heroine in all three of the books.
Madison Knight, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
And she has a Shih Tzu named Rock, after Rock Hudson.
Of course, of course. And I love that it's Pillow Stock instead of Pillow Talk.
And they definitely wink at the movies. So this one does wink at Pillow Talk, the movie, and that one does give a little nod to That Touch of Mink. So if you like the movies, you get that little tie-in, but you don't have to be this huge Doris Day fan to enjoy them because they are mysteries on their own.
I love it. And what is your writing style? Do you write with a lot of humor or a lot of...
I do. There's definitely a lot of humor. I really have to balance it with the seriousness of the mystery. I always describe this as the lightness of a Doris Day movie, the darkness of homicide, and a Shih Tzu named Rock, because that really kind of sums up exactly what you get in these books. There's a lot of humor in there, but I also feel like there's a lot of character development. She's a 47-year-old woman, so she's been through a little bit of life, and she's kind of gotten to the point where she doesn't think she really needs to have a relationship or have a man or have a huge network. She's
figured it out.
She's figured it out, so she has to face some of those demons and some of those questions in here, because all of a sudden she's meeting people who she never expected to meet, and she's drawn to certain people that she's not expected to be drawn to. So there's a fun kind of romantic element in there too. I'm
curious, the people that you worked with in the fashion industry, now that they see what you're doing and they've read your books, are all of them sort of in awe?
I definitely see a lot of people who tell me that, a lot of people tell me they're really proud of me, which is a great thing to hear. But I think they kind of saw it all along. They knew when I was on the airplanes and I was writing when they were sleeping. And they said, you know, you are dedicated, like we knew that was your passion. So that a lot of people really told me that when I left Neiman's, they were like, we know you're following your dreams right now.
Obviously you have that creative thread in you.
Yes.
Do you miss the other industry, the other
There's
career at all?
elements that I miss. There were things about buying that were just really just incredible.
The trips to Paris and Milan.
The trips to Paris, that's something I miss. I have to figure that one out on my own now. I might have to set a book there so I can.
I think so.
So I can write it off. But there was a certain sense of creativity to the buying and the analytical sense all pulled together, but you have to find ways to get that into your life anyway. I mean, like as marketing for the books and things like that allows me to kind of rely on that business sense too.
Yeah, well, I think you're like the triple threat, I think. This is fantastic. And the series again is called?
It's the Mad for Mod series.
And
so this one has a prequel
in
there. So there's 3 different stories, but there's a prequel short story in that one. Then Pillow Stock is the first book, and then That Touch of Ink is the second book.
So fun. Diane Vallere, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, more broadcast when we come back.